This show was recorded live by BBN, Boston Neighborhood Network in Boston, Massachusetts. All rights reserved.
And welcome to another edition of Urban Empowerment Today. I'm Deborah Shariff. Thanks for joining us. Guess who's back? We have visiting again all the way from Louisiana, Dr. Raymond Youngblood. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. You're back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
It's such an education that people, this is something that in urban, when I think about all the shows that I produce, Dr. Youngblood, we've never talked about mining and your particular company. So let's get right into it. Tell us, what is Youngblood Industries?
Primarily, Deborah, thank you. Let me just say, first of all, thank you, Boston, for having me back. I appreciate it. I've had a very wonderful time here. Everybody's been exceptionally well, almost as good as Louisiana people, you know. So we have.
I'll be the judge of that when I come to your fair city.
I agree. So basically what we are, Youngblood Industries is a global company that handles mining operations. And primarily we focus on what is known as small scale mining. And basically what small scale mining entails is the miners you have two types of miners. You have a large scale and a small scale. In most countries, the government can offer to their local citizens a group of concessions known as small scale mining. And basically what we do is we help develop these miners. We also do a lot of things with mining ourselves. We do our own extraction, our own exploration, our own reconnaissance, our own scouting. We build about 70% of our own equipment. And we have a lot of other little small businesses, but small scale is basically our focus. And our primary focus is gold. So that's
I like that,
yeah.
When you say gold.
Yeah.
And you know, I have to share with you, and I'm sure some of the viewers would probably share the same thing, is I never thought in 2018 that I would be sitting next to a gold miner. And I'm sure that the viewers are probably saying, okay, he mines golds, but what does that have to do with me? So if someone's watching this program right now and they're saying, okay, Dr. Raymond Youngblood, that's something interesting. So what is in it for, let's say, the average family that and everybody doesn't meet a gold miner every day.
Correct, yeah, I agree. And just so for the viewers to understand, there is actually 30 million gold miners worldwide. So every country around the world has a section of their industry that deals with mining. And the miners consist of everywhere from Africa, Asia, some small sections of Europe, North America, but primarily Africa and South America dominate the market for small scale miners. And connecting with the general public, what we have decided to do as miners was everyone is pretty much focused on what is known as a middleman, some type of broker in the middle. And these are people who deal with jewelry, trading, refineries, mints, all these type of middlemen is what people are accustomed to. But what we simply have done is just remove all those people from the middle, and now we're introducing ourselves to the general public as miners. And what that does for the common person is it puts you closer to the mineral than you were before. So if you can imagine that for every miner that extract mineral from the ground, there's some type of middle person that buys it from the miner, sells it to another middle person, sells it to another middle person about 9 times, and then it ends up with you as a wedding ring for your wife or in some form of technology like the Android or the iPhone. And so you're far removed from the miner. So what we've done is we've just collapsed all that middle and put us directly next to you, the customer. So,
and well, the important point to that is for you to have access to 30 million miners, it means that when you're talking about getting rid of that middle person, and it sounds to me that there's equity for the miner. Because, you know, again, if I watch television or if I watch Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, I see that usually the miners who risk their lives to go into these mines, they're the ones that people, it's like an afterthought. But that's not you. And I wish you would elaborate to the viewers exactly why it is so important that, because of what you said, to get rid of the middleman, which means that the miners, they have equity. They have, you know, it's like an equal playing field. Can you speak to that?
I can very much so. And it is let me get relaxed, so to speak, and let me get real country boy, you know, for the viewers so they can understand something. This world turns on certain things. Normally it's two things the world turns on. One is mining, the other one is agriculture. So if you take a look around where you are, you will find that everything either comes from mining or agriculture. So whether it's the plumbing in your house or your phone or your car, the clothes you wear, it either comes from some form of mining or agriculture. So let's take it to another step. Let's take it to a point where it's currency. The number one currency in the world is gold, because the reason what makes gold number one in the world is that in the United States, our dollar has a certain value, but the value of that dollar is different when you go to Europe. The pound may be worth more, the euro may be worth more. If you travel to Peru, it may be worth less, right? The Peruvian dollar may be less. Or if you go to Uganda, 16,000 1600 Ugandan shillings for $1. So the currency ranges, but with gold, it's the same price all over the world. So whether it's $1,000 in Brazil or $1,000 somewhere else, it's the same $1,000, right? Okay. Now, what has happened with the miners per se is that they have not had their just due. They have not been able to project their voices in the industry the way we make a big impact. So here's the impact that we miners make. On a daily basis, we produce $7.128 billion a day. There's 33%, a lot of money. 33% of the world gold that's used come from small scale miners. But if everyone was honest with themselves, how many of you know a miner? You know a school teacher, you know a plumber, you know a police officer, you know a millionaire, you know your local congressman, but you don't know a gold miner. And there's 30 million of us. So what we as miners have decided to do was really ramp up something in an industry that kind of thrown us to the side. And we've said, you know what, we're done with this, we're tired. Why is it that I work just as hard as everybody else, but I'm not getting the same due as the middleman? A school teacher teaches school 9 months out the year, they still struggle paycheck to paycheck. A police officer risks their life, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Somebody working fast food have to work 2 and 3 fast food jobs, and they're not getting their just due. The same thing has happened with the miner. And the reason for that is there's so many people in the middle of us that it's causing this congestion that the people on this end is not getting their due and the people on this end is not getting their due. So, I mean, we just really decided that enough is enough. Let's get down to it. If you are a person in any country and you're tired of the day-to-day and things for you are not getting things out of life that you want and the things that you deserve, the things that you need, you find yourself struggling to meet your bills and pay your bills on a daily basis. You have to be sick and tired of that. I know for me, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So for us, the miners truly is a way out of a certain level of poverty. The miners is a way out of it because these are guys who go in the jungle, in the Amazon, in the desert. We look for the mineral, we find the mineral, we bring it to the world market. Everybody benefits from it except us. So we just got a little sick of that. We're a little tired of that. So we decided to remove all of that middle play from it.
And you know, when I think about particularly Africa and our students right here in Boston, and I'm sure it's across the country or maybe across the world, that our students are miseducated. And you said that you started in previous broadcasts, you mentioned that you started mining because of a high school assignment.
Yes.
And I think, you know, a lot of people are calling for bringing back the trades.
Yes.
So I would like for you a little bit to explain how you actually, because there might be somebody out there listening, watching, that is saying, how did this brother from Louisiana get involved with mining?
Country boy from Louisiana.
Exactly.
Okay, it really started with a high school project. They had a hard time filling a class called Advanced Mathematics. And so they were first going around looking for all the students who had decent grades in math. So I just happened to be one of the people who
you left that out at
Yeah,
previous
who
broadcast.
had
Okay,
decent grades
so you
in
had
math.
really good mathematical
Yeah,
skills.
somewhat.
Tell the students, you look in the camera and say
I had a little something. And I could add, subtract, divide, a little bit of algebra, a little bit of this. But when they wanted to fill that class, and so some of us that had the strong arm into going to that class, I didn't want to take it because it was advanced mathematics. But one of the things that caught my attention was it had a sort of a practicum attached to it where it can get you out the class for an hour a day. And then we would go, but I didn't realize that what we were going to do was survey land in a cemetery. Little did I know, the guy who was teaching the class was an ex-Army Corps of engineer, and he wanted to plot these cemeteries all over the place and lay out water lines and all these things. Let me fast forward a little bit. That class project gave me the foundation to understanding how to survey land, how land lays out, how to deal with the topography.
And that was passionate. I mean, whenever you expose young people to anything, whether it's a career track, and you found it was sort of like, wow, I like doing this. Is that what you were saying inside? Or, this is something I'm really interested in doing?
It was at first. Then I realized it had hard work attached to it. And if anybody knows Louisiana kids, we're always subject to some type of hard work, whether it be construction, farming, cleaning somebody's yard or garage or something, for the lack of a better word, a little slave labor. Never heard a kid growing up, right? So I knew I had to go and work, but I didn't want to do it because I was already tired of that. I was already doing a lot of things outside. And then I went and got started with some other things. But by the time I got to college and took my first trip overseas to Africa, and I saw the mining operations, something hit me then.
The set of skills that you were exposed to.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you got to think about it like this. This is crazy to me. You think about all these high-profile companies, all these big, giant conglomerates. They raise billions of dollars to go and look for minerals. Billions. And when they raise these billions of dollars, they use them on all these high-tech things for exploration and exploratory ideas, geophysics, geologists, mine engineers, and all these things. And then satellite imagery, thermal imagery, radar detection, ground sound, vibration, all these things. But something hit me. Here's a group of guys that has no engineering background, they have no architectural background, they have no satellite imagery background, they have no geothermal background, they have no topographic background, and they've been finding gold, and they can find silver, and they can find diamonds. Some of them can't even read, and they can find the mineral. So I said, wait a minute, I got a little bit of something, country boy like me, I'm not scared of the bush. So it hit me, it radiated with me. And then from there, a simple high school project turned into a career, lifelong passion to deal with the ins and outs of mining. Not only dealing with the extraction, but also the social side of it, their families, their social structure, their communities, and then their people too. So, and then it also kind of came to me, I'm from a poor town in Louisiana. And the town members there are probably angry. I'm not even going to say the name now. I done called everybody poor. But
they won't like this. This is streaming through the world, brother.
True,
so you got to be careful.
Speak the truth, shame the devil, right? So what hit me was when you look at it from that standpoint, what could help bring people into a better life? And then it dawned on me, the miners are mining gold, but yet they living in abject poverty. So I started thinking something about this ain't right. And then that's when they started coming to me of looking at how the system was laid out, how the structure was laid out. But the plotting of a cemetery is identical structure to laying out 25,000 acres or 100,000 acres on a mining field. It's identical. So,
You know what is so interesting, because there's a humanitarian side to you in terms of not just go in there and become a miner, get the gold, go home, have a bunch of mansions, Mercedes-Benz, whatever, but there's a humanitarian side of you. And I want to let the viewers know that not only while you were mining that you discovered, not discovered, but that's when the Ebola breakout happened. And then you decided to take some time off and write a book. And I'm wondering if our producers can put the book up for the viewers to see, but how did that book come about? Talk to us about that.
Okay. The book it actually was not a book. It was actually a letter. And when I wrote the first letter, I realized I had a lot more to say than 2 pages. You know, common business practices, never write a letter longer than 2 pages or nobody's going to read it. Well, when you got a lot to say, you start to realize that a process in business needs to be thrown out the window, and then everything else needs to be put into play, right? So I wrote that letter, and then I realized 2 pages, not enough. And here's what the problem was.
What was in the letter, though?
What was in the letter was a complaint to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and the World Health Organization was very simple. Every death that was happening in West Africa, is primarily the 3 countries where the Ebola took place, around Liberia, Sierra Leone, Burkina.
We actually
Côte
have the
d'Ivoire.
book up.
Okay, yeah.
So you just might want to tell viewers, you know, about the book a little bit and where they can.
Yeah, you can find it
purchase it.
anywhere online. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Create Space, iBooks. You
That's
can find it all
awesome. They
places.
can find it. I hear what you're saying, but I just want to go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
Because you're mining, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden something happens that you become alerted to, and you say, whoa, wait a minute. Now talk about that, because
That piece, okay.
yeah, talk about that piece.
All right. We're in the western West Africa, and we had a mine operation in a county. Liberia is broken up into counties, and the one particular county where I'm actually a chief is called Bopalou.
Bopalou.
Bopalous starts with a G.
It sounds
but-
like a rock, you know, Babaloo.
Bopalou, yeah, Bopalou, yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
like a
I love
cartoon.
it.
And Bopalou County, and Bopalou sits just south of a bigger county called Lofa, okay, which is right above all that is Sierra Leone. So the villagers, normally when we in an area and we're doing exploration or some type of reconnaissance, we can bring a whole lot of medication with us. And when we leave that area, we can normally leave that medication with the villagers. Well, this particular time, we had some people come to us and say, hey, we have a problem in our village. Can you come and take a look? And sure enough, we go, and there's a young lady that's very sick. And this is 3 years prior to the Ebola outbreak. Now, little be known to me at that time, I wasn't aware of Ebola. I had never encountered Ebola. I've encountered a lot of things in the bush, but never anything like that. So we realized this was way past where our skill set was, way past where our physicians and nurses that was with us could do. And we decided that we're going to do something about it personally. I decided I want to do something about it personally. So I actually traveled from Liberia to Ghana to get medication. And the reason being is, in some areas, some pharmacies in Liberia, normally you cannot trust the medication. Even if it's coming from Europe or America, it can be outdated. It can lose its potency. It doesn't work properly and all these things. And so I traveled to Ghana to get medication, send it back. Even I ended up traveling to America to get it. Long story short, I had told some government officials about this particular problem, and needless to say, it kind of blew it off a little bit. Nobody was really that concerned about it. 3 years later, here come Ebola. Now,
We were devastated when we heard about it. I mean, it
Yes.
was all over the national, international news. And we were frightened because they had one case here in the U.S.
yes, and I even knew the guy's family personally. I knew his family. I met those folks when I went to Dallas. A lot of the Liberian community called out to myself, and you know, try to get a sense of what was going on. And you know, it's an amazing thing for me because that letter had a lot of things in it. One of the things I had in that letter was why is every death Ebola related when I know it was a motorcycle accident? I'm in West Africa. I'm in Liberia. I know the person died from a motorcycle accident. Why is it being counted as Ebola?
What do you think was their goal for doing that? What
Well,
was their intent?
The first round to fix the problem with Ebola would have taken less than $1 million. But if you are, when you're in a position like myself and you're next to an industry like gold, you're privy to information that most citizens are not privy to. So I know that a lot of Congress people, whether they're in the U.S. or Africa, let's combine them both together, if I want to fund something, I can have another problem escalate itself higher. I can get more money from the taxpayers to fix the problem and use some of that money to fund some of my own little personal things to help me get reelected, or a promise that I promised to the people. I mean, if anybody who doesn't know politics don't know that's happening, it's true, it's real, it happens. That's just how it happens. So Ebola ended up being an $800 million problem that could have been fixed for $1 million if somebody would have paid attention to the very first round of outbreaks. The other issue that came along with that, with the outbreak itself, was how things were handled and how the processes of things were handled. So that 2 pages turned into a paper, the paper turned into more pages, the more pages turned into a book. And when I first distributed it, I wanted to just give it away. I didn't want anybody to buy it. I didn't want anybody to pay for it. I was trying to fix a problem. And I address a lot of things in the book. I go deep. I don't hide anything. I'm not afraid of any government officials coming after me. I mean, I tell it like it is. If it was corruption involved, and I personally know it was corruption involved, I say that. If it was something to do with mishandling or lack of skills, I say that. There's a lot of companies that made money on the Ebola outbreak that didn't deserve to get that money to fix the problem.
Always thinking of how to make money off the backs of sick people, dying people. And the reason I think you being a miner is so significant is, particularly when I think of Africa, because I know that you mine all over the world, but there's always this propaganda machine that's showing Africa behind the scenes, that they're so poor, the swollen bellies, and you know, this has an impact on American black children, because I remember when I was in school and they brought up Africa and they showed the swollen bellies, I would kind of shriek away.
Feel sad and so on.
It's really, and to think about Africa, which is, you know, I always said this, and I used to hear my grandmother say it, that the soil and the richness of Africa is an extension of who the people are. And when I think, and when I think about the fact that you're a miner and we have such a rich continent of Africa, I mean, people think of it as a country. No, it's a continent. It's a continent, yes. And they don't even show its true size on the map. So, I'm saying all this to say, I think it's disgraceful that the miners are not compensated the way they should, and we've had this, you know, this system where everybody rapes Africa. So to know that you're there in Africa and that you're an African American, as you say, a country boy from Louisiana, right? But you have a different twist. You know, just like I said, equity. And I'm leading into the question that I think needs to be asked. There is a serious class war. There is an economic war. And why do you think that it's happening now? Well, it's been happening for a long time. And how can your company help?
Wow. I have an answer, and I have a solution to a few of the problems. There is a class war. It is an economic war. It's a gender war, religious war, color war, and it's happening. And it has to do with, there's a sense of fear in people, right? Everybody's afraid. Some businesses can't grow because they're afraid of what the IRS or the SEC is going to do. So they're scared. They're scared to move forward. They're scared to go right or left. They're scared. Then there's another thing where there's some people's agenda to keep us fighting with each other all the time. That's their whole premise on the planet.
Give an example.
Oh yeah, the banks. The banks have it. Some government officials have that agenda to keep us at war with each other. If I'm a Democrat or a Republican, As long as I can keep y'all fighting, you're not paying attention to the things that I'm doing over here. Some small governments in other countries to keep their regime in power does that. If I want to rob the people, I make them fight. Now, what I'm speaking from is not just an American watching television looking at it. I literally live in these countries. I eat with them, I sleep with them, I work with them, I pee there, I ride the bicycle there, I do everything there. That's my life, that's where I am, whether it's in South America or Africa. And this war that's taking place has a global impact on all of us. The biggest impact I think it has is on our mindset. That I cannot like somebody because they're white. I cannot like somebody because they're black or because they're Muslim or Christian or atheist or whatever the case may be. And it just perpetuates and so on, so forth and so on. Here is one solution to a very big problem known as poverty. You can continue to do what we've always done, which is take some money from government or a few NGOs and nonprofit raise money on your behalf, and they peddle it out to you, give you a little bit of this, a little bit of that, fix this, fix that. But the world has not gotten any better. Poverty has not been reduced. Crime has not been reduced. Sickness has not been reduced. It's still rising. But yet, everybody's getting billions of dollars to fix the problem. Another mindset is Africa needs saving. One of the strongest human beings on planet Earth.
That's really a hard thing to take when you see so many young Africans that are inventors,
yes,
that are they're changing.
Yes.
They're changing the face,
yes,
of Africa. I mean, I tell my children when they were little, because when I went to college, there were a lot of Nigerians that
yes,
attended the same college that
yeah,
I attended, and Nigeria looks like New York, and
yeah,
so. They get this wrong picture. I didn't want to stop you from what you're saying, but it's true.
It's the truth.
It's true.
It's the truth. And we don't want Americans. We're so into ourselves. We're the only group of people that I know that can go to somebody else's country and start telling them how it should be, and even start referring to them as a foreigner. Yeah, we can do that. I've seen it happen so many times. We can start referring to them as a foreigner in their country, or get angry when they don't speak English in their country. So, it's one of those things where you have to call it for what it is. And to some degree, when I was a poor kid growing up in Louisiana, I understand why so many people are afraid when you don't have power and didn't know. But when I was afraid, I was 9 years old and I didn't know. But you can't be 29, 39, 49, 50, so on and still be scared. You can't do that. You have to be willing to want to make a difference and make a change. And it will ultimately change you. But the class war and the economic war, the gender and so on, it is perpetuated because we let a few people scare us, the rest of us back off, and then we let them do whatever. And it's only when we get sick and tired of it, then we try to do something, whether we protest or rally. And it's not going to be fixed that way.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, it's just not.
Absolutely. Well, the most important thing, Dr. Youngblood, that I think people should really understand is that if you look at the difference between African Americans that are in this country, you have to understand they have always been under white presidents. When they go to school, even in my lifetime, I mean, I'm an educator, and when I started off at Boston Public Schools, there were 90.9% kids of color, but we had 99% teachers that were white. And unfortunately, because they did not come from the same neighborhoods that the children came from, they had this sort of attitude that, oh, these poor darlings, and we can't teach them. And when you send off that energy, that is really hard. So it's really bad in terms of role modeling. So I think for the viewers to see you as a man of color who is going to Africa, not just Africa. I mean, you're in South America.
Yeah, South America is one
you
of
know,
my
you're
favorite,
in other places.
favorite continents, yes.
And you're bringing people together of all different ethnicities. And you know, it's really interesting because I have older children, and then I had Kai, my last child, who was a part of the company, who brought me into the company. And so it was a different set, it was a different time. And Kyria was a little bit more sort of indoctrinated into a diverse world as opposed to my older children. So, so thinking about the poverty piece that you just addressed, I think it's really important that we start thinking about how do we, and how does Youngblood Industry, which you have a very diverse team, how do we get that message out? And we have about 2 minutes before the break, but and I know you, Dr. Youngblood.
No, that's fine. One of the questions I was answering was the solution to something, right? Let's say you take a group of people, and let's just say the minors. But you can really do this with any particular group, any group. Whether it be police officers, whether it be minors, whether it be school teachers or farmers. If enough people rally behind them into support of their industry, they can fix a lot of problems within that industry. Here's the difference with it though. Let's take the miners for example, because what they do, they generate profits. Everybody expecting profit from it. Somebody, when you mine gold or silver or diamonds and you're taking it out the ground and you sell it to somebody, that's a certain amount of profit that comes from that. The miner's profit is so significant that it can literally, if I took one miner and attach that one miner to 5 families, it can alleviate majority of their financial troubles. One miner, because you got to keep in mind, the miners generate $7.128 billion a day. The problem with that $7.128 billion a day is it's not going to the common people. It's going to all who those middlemen want that money to go to. The banks and their private equity holders and so on, and these people who are stockpiling gold and silver and platinum and all these things, and it's not being shared. But what if somebody wasn't scared? What if somebody wasn't afraid to step forward? I don't care if the SEC want to look at my records. I don't care if the Internal Revenue Service want to look at my record. I don't care if Interpol want to do a background check on me. That doesn't scare me. I was already in a state of poverty, way beyond eating Roman noodles all day, you know. So what am I going to do? Go and be poor again? I know what that feels like, right? And then I take the miners and I attach them to your family and the next person's family and the next person's family and the next person's family. The miner's not begging you for anything at all. All the miners are asking for is, let me have a direct connection to you. Let's remove all the middlemen out the way.
That's right.
You don't lose. It's not like you're going to get any less gold. You get more. It's not like you're going to pay a higher price by removing all the middlemen.
We're going to come back so you can finish that point.
I will finish that point.
And we're going to take a short break. And when you watch we have a break of Dr. Youngblood. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
They're using the sand from where we're mining to build their houses. And in the sand, we're finding gold. So on all their houses, if you wash their houses, you get gold.
And welcome back to Urban Empowerment Today. I'm Deborah Shariff. Thanks for joining us. The second half of the show, my guest is Dr. Raymond Youngblood. What you just saw was the man himself in the bush. Talk to us about that video, then you can continue your point.
Okay.
What did we just see?
What you saw was an actual mining operation taking place. And so what we did was we put together a little bit of clips from South America, Africa, and showing what we do hands-on. It's a dirty business, it's a rough business, and what we want people to understand is that you don't have to do that. That's my job. My job is to go into the jungle, find it, extract it, process it, turn it into what you like.
Look at your smile. You really like this.
Go.
Just say it again. I'm sorry, but you really enjoy mining.
I really enjoy
in
mining.
The bush.
In the bush, in the desert, in 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Mudslides, rebels, warlords, mosquitoes, swamp, snakes. I mean,
I saw that snake bite.
Yes. Yes. I took a wicked rhinoceros viper bite. So, you know, and we build 70% of all that equipment that everybody saw.
Wow.
70%. We basically take raw metal and turn it into whatever we want. And that didn't start off by us, a necessity of what we needed to do. That started off because we didn't have any money. Nobody would give us a loan. Nobody would help us or fund us. We couldn't get investors. Even though I had the best land with minerals, I still couldn't get people to put the money there. So I just started off a little bit, buy a little bit of raw material, build it myself, started training, and even most of my miners.
How did somebody even fathom that? I mean, you see what it takes in order to extrapolate the gold from the, from the mines, but who would have the understanding? I mean, I would just feel accomplished just by getting the gold, but you create an event, the equipment.
Yes.
What did you do? Go home and say, okay, I want to get a machine and start, creating one? I mean, what goes into that?
Some of it came that way. Some of it, when we got along a little bit, we got a little cocky and we started doing our own designs, our own development. But for the most part, it was just an easy way to make the work easy. You know, when you lack something, invention starts to come to mind. It becomes the necessity of everything you need. And so we have a lot of earth we got to move. So the gold can't bring itself out the ground. So we had one thing already down. We knew how to find gold. We knew how to find diamonds. We knew how to find silver better than anybody else. And we didn't need all the high-tech equipment to do it. Plus, nobody was going to give us any money to do it, not like they were giving to all the other people. So we had to become better than them to the point to where I had to create machines, because a lot of machines, equipment that we could afford to buy, it wasn't designed to go into the jungle. The jungle would beat it up and eat it up like it was a sheet of paper. You know, all this electrical stuff that worked great in an American setting or a European setting where everything is already laid out, but not in a condition where it's going to rain 20 days straight, condensation, and all these things start to mess with the electronics and all that. So you needed something that was durable. It's crazy to see that rock can literally break steel. So we had to create machines that could crush rock that was normally beating up steel. And that's basically where it came from. And then we fixed a lot of our own equipment. We grew it from one machine to the next machine, and we just got good at it, and we became better at it. And that also led to creating a kind of a standardization for the small scale miners, because a lot of these guys can't get equipment either. So anybody need equipment, come to Dr. Youngblood, let's find a way to work together, put the machines on the ground.
Right. Well, mining is old. It's
beginning of time.
The beginning of time.
Yes.
So I know that there were companies or corporations that actually had machines already.
Yes.
And so did you replicate those, or why weren't they not providing these machines for you? Or were they too expensive and you said, hey, we can make our own?
Yeah, oh yeah. Sometimes you buy an old used one and it's not in working order, and you put it in working order.
Right.
But for the most part, a lot of the machines that you can buy worldwide was very easy to make. So take, for example, a machine called a trommel. It's just basically like that machine you saw turning, like a giant washing machine. That's a very simple machine to make. and it uses gravity to extract the gold. But the thing about that trommel is it will cost you $150,000, $80,000 in the United States. If I made that machine myself, in half the time they would make it, it may only cost me $15,000 in raw material.
Gotcha.
So I can make as many as I want, as big as I want, as strong as I want. When they design their machine, they need for you to buy replacement parts. So the parts are even designed to break. They're designed to wear out. They're not everlasting. When we design it, that's our machine, so it's got to last. And we fix it to where it can handle the bush, it can handle the jungle.
You know, mining is becoming very interesting with having you on the show. You were on a radio show. I mean, it's just really interesting. Now, you have a documentary that is in pre-production right now.
Yes.
And this will tell the world what mining is all about from your perspective.
Yes.
So talk to me about your documentary. Where is it at?
Okay.
And why are you creating a documentary?
Okay. Can I call a few people out?
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. The very first time that the Youngblood story was about to go, which I like to refer to as the small-scale mining story, was out, was with, everybody knows it now as Gold Rush. Prior to that, it was called Gold Rush Alaska. Prior to that, it was called the Gold Miner. So that's my story that was introduced to Discovery Channel that led to what is now known as Gold Rush. So, but it was in the form of a reality show. And there were some things that television wanted me to do that was kind of buffoonish to me that I didn't want to do on TV. I don't want to look stupid on TV. I was already struggling enough to try to get people interested in mining, so I sure enough didn't want to look like we didn't know what we were doing when we did.
Why would they want you to act like that?
Ratings are wonderful for television. Ratings are wonderful for television, but I got to take the hit for it. I got to look like a clown or weak or unprofessional in a sense, and I wasn't willing to do that. I just wasn't. And I was trying to convince people that you could have a great show without all these.
The buffoonery.
Yes. Mining. If you want to mine in America, you probably got to create some issues because there's not much that's going to go wrong. There's a Home Depot around the way. There's a Walmart around the way. But when you get into the jungle, you in big boy land. You in big woman land. You in a place where there's 15 hours this way before any civilization. 30 hours that way before any civilization. You left with yourself, your skills, and your people. And if you can't handle it, the jungle will swallow you. So that's one of the main things. But here's another interesting part about it. The story of the miners is never properly told. I've seen a lot of people try to recreate it. They go and they film it, and you hear a very good narration, and they're explaining all these horrible things that go on with the small-scale miners, but they're telling a story that's not their story. I represent 30 million miners worldwide. Everything that these miners do, I know. Everything about them, I've taught many of them. A lot of the things that you see going on in small-scale mining came from us. Who's better to tell the story than one of them? I understand what goes on. There's some underlying things that happen. There's also some problems that needs to be addressed. So when we decide to do a documentary, we decide to break it up into 12 parts, trying to do something every month, trying to do one main story, and then a lot of individual stories that follow. So we're in the beginning stages of it. We're now putting together all the filming and things that we've taken from all over the years. A strip is being laid out. The outline of the documentary is being laid out. That's handled by a department of ours called Multimedia Development, which is headed by Shariff. And so she's pulling all that together. And I have two other departments that's really putting some things together with that. That's marketing, led by Christine Snyder. And then you have administration led by Deborah Thurman, and protocol development, which is led by Gianna, and then yourself, which is also in
I'm so excited, yes.
So we have a lot of things.
Don't forget there's other departments.
Yeah,
who's the telegram guru?
That's William Mathis. Oh, we got so many departments.
Who is here in the studio
Who's here in the studio. I have Emmanuel here in the studio who's with PRC.
Because you know they're going to get on our case. They're watching right
Oh,
now.
I can't name
So
off
don't
everybody. I can't. I'm sorry,
But I
y'all.
just want to mention Dr. Santos, with
Yeah,
publication.
Joyce Santos, who's a world-renowned ophthalmologist that
Yes.
heads up our what is called publication and writing department. She's the one who makes sure everything that goes out looks good, readable, and so on. I'm missing
We've
out
got
a lot.
no, it's okay, but we got a
Okay.
great team.
Yeah, we got a
And I
really
was
good
going to ask you about the Youngblood Industries team, but you just segued right into it.
Yes, a wonderful team. Right now, 47 members. Some of the people I just named off are here in studio. Emmanuel, William, Eduardo are here supporting us. Yourself. Maybe a couple of new people came on today after a wonderful conversation.
That was a great meeting.
Yes, excellent meeting. So, you know, the chemistry is there. Everything is there. And then those folks, they represent a voice that the minors don't have. That's another part of the documentary that's just going to 100% focus on the Youngblood people, just them, not me, not the minors, just them, their lives, how they came into play, how they made this thing happen, because our system is built on this, what we refer to as a corporate activist system. And the minors don't have a proper voice, and these people are their voice. They're able to go on social media. They're able to be out in the media. They don't have a visa problem. They don't have to worry about praying to the gods to get a visa and hoping that the U.S. Embassy stamp their passport and all. They don't have that issue. Now, which is crazy, right? Because the minors send their $7.128 billion gold here, but yet they can't come here and see what their gold is doing. They can't see their gold in this technology, these laptops, these iPhones and Androids and so on.
But I even heard
everybody
gold,
except their
and some of the precious minerals that you take out of the ground are also helpful for medical reasons.
Yes. Gold is one of the premier products on this planet. Cancer research has proven that it helps with the reduction of cancer or even the removal. I've even tried to supply gold to a couple of researchers to even do that for free. I don't want no payment. Let's see, if y'all need the gold, I can provide the gold. Forensic research, technology, dentistry, the space helmets for the astronauts. I can go on and on and on for medicinal purposes, for medical purposes, technology. I mean, you know, it's just a wonderful product. So,
well, as an entrepreneur, I know we probably have about maybe 7 minutes left to the show.
Okay.
But I think it's important when we talk about entrepreneurship. And you have, I mean, you're an inventor, you're a miner, you're a writer, I call you a social justice person because you want equity for the miners. And I think that's huge. But what are some of the other business ventures that you have encountered as an entrepreneur?
Okay.
You can just kind of...
I'll glance over a few, right?
Yeah, blast over a few.
We couldn't afford to buy things like body wash, soap, conditioner, so we started making our own. We literally started making our own from scratch. We had all the elements and the herbs and things from the bush. We started using that. And for those who don't know, the main ingredient for all those things is petroleum jelly. So from there, all you need.
You make petroleum jelly?
We just get that's the only thing we don't make.
Oh, okay.
Everything else we add to it. It's the petroleum jelly. I wish we were at that stage where we're making our own petroleum. It's about to get real, people. Another product that we did, we used to make our own uniforms, right? The shirt, the pants, the socks. We did everything but the boots. So the boots we would buy from a wholesaler. So we made our own uniform, and that segued into making our own clothing designs. We make a lot of shirts, a lot of gowns, dresses, things like that. African wear, European wear, American wear. Sometimes we like to mix it up. And then, you know,
African fashions are becoming very popular.
Very popular,
and trendy.
Yes, amongst
and they're
everybody.
coming here to America. I
Yes.
saw about 4 or 5 African designers, major newspaper outlets, and I was like, whoa, they're so colorful, they're beautiful.
Well, I want to give people, see, this is the thing. When you're over there and you're in the mix, you see things that other people don't see. When you think about a lot of the European designers, some of them I know personally, I want to call them out so bad, but I'm not going to do that. They come to Africa, they see what those designers are doing, They run back to their shops in Europe, and then next thing you know, it's a global this, and everybody's wearing it on the walkway and so on. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I know exactly the little small shop where you took those ideas from. So, and that's normally what happened. It is, but now it's getting to a thing to where wonderful thing is the internet, cheap travel has made the world a little bit smaller. So people can now venture out a little bit more, try a few things. And for me personally, probably like on this show, this is probably the last time I'm going to wear a suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to wear some of your
I'm
own
going to wear
designs?
some of my stuff. I mean, why I'm wearing somebody else's stuff, why I can't wear my own stuff?
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about entrepreneurship. You have you diversified your company.
Yes.
You have different ventures, but mining's number one.
Mining's number one.
Youngblood Industries is number one.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask this question because it's all because it's all about the health.
Yes.
And how does one stay as fit as you? I mean, what's your secret of staying fit? You have to be fit. All these businesses?
I'm a little fit.
My goodness.
I'm a little fit. Okay.
So what's your regimen? What's your health regimen?
Wow. I hide food from my daughter who tries to keep up with what I eat. The main thing is everything in moderation. I don't try to starve myself out. Some fried foods, some sugars, some things like that. If I try to cut it all out, I can't win. All right. So your body will soon take over, and I can go 2 or 3 months, and then but I feed myself a little bit. Then we do a lot of walking and things in the bush, so that helps out. That helps out a lot. Plus, I owe people something. I have to get a little bit of sleep here, eat okay. Because I can't ask people to come and be a part of like our hybrid currency or the mining or buying our jewelry that we make our own jewelry, and then not be around.
That's right.
To make sure I can follow through or put the processes in place so my people can follow through, so they can carry the torch on to a whole nother level. My whole ideal of everything is if you design something and you always have to be there to handle it, you didn't design it right. It needs to be in such a way that somebody else can take it and run with it and take their ideas and flourish with it. So the best way to do that is you got to be in good health, good mind. So I try to stay in shape. I try to mind my weight a little bit. The bush normally takes care of that. And plus, a lot of vegetables. So that's another key, getting a well-rounded group of vegetables.
And no fast food joints.
I try not to, every once in a while I fall prey, but you just have to want to.
You have to have that stamina.
Yeah, you got to have it.
I know you're coming back to Boston, so I'm wondering if they can put up the flyer because people probably want to meet you.
Yes.
So we have Dr. Raymond Youngblood coming back to Boston, and I think they will probably show the flyer. It's going to be September 1st. September 29th, all right, it's up here, and October 20th. So again, those dates are September 1st, September 29th, and October 20th. And, coming back to Boston, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to want to meet you in person. So as we close the show, because they're giving me the wrap-up sign, do you have any closing thoughts that will probably take about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Youngbloodindustries.com. Let me throw that out there. I want you to remember only one thing. If somebody is an entrepreneur and they're trying to make a direct connection to you, and they're trying to remove as many middlemen as possible so you can benefit more and we can benefit more, why not do that? And that's what the miners are trying to do.
Thanks, Dr. Raymond Youngblood. Yes. Come back again, will you please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, the viewers, for watching. I'm Deborah Shariff. We'll see you next time.